Morning. This is Arnie Waters. Look for gold to trade in the current range for the next few days. We're expecting gold to remain in a consolidation phase going forward, but we're not going to try to pick tops and bottoms in through here. The technical indicators are quite clear, and what we're looking forward is for gold to have a significant upward movement, perhaps as much as 33% by the end of the year. Now, we got to cover a lot of different territory today. We've had some nice conversations with Steve Percoco of Lark Research. He's been right on about home builders, and I want to give you a few thoughts that may aid your investing in home builders. The delinquency rate for mortgages is about 8% versus a historic 1%. The foreclosure rate is about 4%, and that is a tremendous increase of the usual rate of about 0.5%. Builders have cut costs, and in line with that, that's why you're beginning to see new homes coming into the inventory, as foreclosed and delinquent homes frequently have substantial damage. We want to point out NVR's unique land model. NVR, in effect, unlike other people who have to buy land and hold it in their inventory on their books, effectively has outside arrangements with people that they've done business with for a long time, where the people retain control of the land till NVR has the opportunity to use it. And that is, in our opinion, a significant reason why NVR is trading at 10 or 15 or 20 times the price. Last time I looked, it was about 727, the price of the competitors in the development business. We also want to point out, through Steve's intervention, an excellent point about Toll Brothers. We think, of course, of Toll Brothers as building expensive suburban subdivisions. For a little while now, they've been into this concept they call city living, where they are building condos in prime sections of super exclusive areas like the Upper East Side in New York, similar areas in Atlanta and Philadelphia. And this model is for condominium sales. In addition, they've been very strong in their development of active adult communities. Now, I don't know if I qualify as an active adult, but I'm over 55, and I try to stay active, and those communities are going to be hugely important. Lastly, on Toll Brothers, some of their recent deals they've done in partnership with Zell. And of course, Zell is an apartment builder, so half or a third of the building is being built for condos, and the rest being built for luxury apartments. Toll Brothers also has a setup for modular building, so that it builds most of its luxury stuff off-site and simply ships it to site, and then local workmen install it. And that is a significant reason for the high quality of Toll Brothers products, regardless of where you go. Lastly, of course, Toll Brothers has $700 million in cash on hand. Now, we're going to shift the ground dramatically to rare earths and uranium. The Germans, as you know, have closed all their uranium plants. As a direct result of this shutdown of nuclear power, surprise, surprise, Germans are having a tremendous amount of trouble meeting the power needs of their business and residential customers. This showed up some over the cold winter. I think it will be exacerbated going into the spring and summer. Don't be surprised if the Germans have to bring nuclear reactors back online with the big air conditioning needs anticipated for the hot weather season. But the German experience also illustrates how really difficult it is to make a big alteration in the power grids really rapidly. After the Fukushima event, of course, the Japanese are doing a similar thing, and I'm not blaming them for doing a similar thing. I'm just pointing out that they're already having brownouts and difficulties with their power grid as a result of the lack of power, surprisingly enough. Rare earth elements, we're going to talk about Linus. Linus built an advanced materials plant in Gebeng in Indonesia. And there was a protest with about 2,000 people because I don't want to say an effect. I want to say when they are leaching to get rare earth elements, radiation may be an off product of that leaching to get the rare earths. And so, quite rightly, people are concerned about the protections being installed by Linus. Linus Corp and the government feel that the protections are more than adequate. We concur with that view, but of course, the plant is in Indonesia. It's not in Boston. So I just want to point out to you, this illustrates how difficult it is to operate rare earth processing facilities in places that are not overt dictatorships like China. And speaking of China, finally, I want to comment that the Chinese are putting themselves in the current, are projecting themselves to be in the current Japanese situation. In other words, the Chinese have done this one-child policy. Now, I'm not even going to go into one child and people being depressed and all this kind of stuff. What the one-child policy has done in Japan is that soon, in the next 2 decades, there will be one worker for every 2 retired people. This is exactly the same situation the Chinese will face themselves in the next 2 or 3 decades. An allied point that has an effect on Chinese society as a whole is there are 16% more men than there are women. Now, I don't want to seem sexist, but one of the real issues, in my opinion, in the development of the various jihadi terrorist type groups is the offensive attitudes many Muslim countries have toward women and the corresponding lack of women in women's civilizing influence, shall we say. And unless people have a certain amount of money, there's effectively no way for men in many countries to get married, to have girlfriends or anything like that. And I think this has a deleterious effect. It will have a deleterious effect on China as well. People have picked it up on the other side, talking about the horrors, which are truly horrible, of killing girl babies in China. But I also want to point out there's a larger societal damage, which in our opinion feeds into our view about the Chinese political situation being much more dangerous than their economic situation. So this is Arnie Waters. What day are you going to be happy if you're not going to be happy today? Enjoy the day. Keep swinging.